Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I apologize about yesterday, but how did your eclipse go? I saw a lot of clouds. Not ideal visibility, but still a fun event nonetheless. Couple comments from viewers on Friday. Of course, we had Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. We had a really busy show on Friday. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to rebroadcast that interview from the Glenn Miller Orchestra at some point this morning, because I understand there may have been a little technical glitch for some of you. So we'll be playing that a little bit later on. First of all, from a viewer, thank you so much, Phil, meaning Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, for coming on the show as often as you do. Yes, I feel the same way. Thank you, Phil. I passed those nice words along to the Assemblyman. And another comment, sad to hear more about transgender visibility than Vietnam Veterans Day or veterans of any war. Yes, we talked with the Assemblyman about his visit with a Vietnam vet that sounded very moving, very touching. So I'm glad that the Assemblyman weighed in on that as well. So during the program, it is 2 hours. I know I keep bragging. It is 2 hours, but at any point you can reach out and comment, and that number on the bottom of your screen. Okay. I've got to mention her. Super Mayor is back in the news. The Illinois village of Dolton has voted in favor of a resolution, get this, to hire ex-Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to investigate its own leader, Tiffany Henyard, who is accused of misusing taxpayer funds and various other corrupt practices. Lightfoot, who lost her re-election bid in a landslide last year, said she was honored to be tasked with the investigation of Henyard. Henyard calling herself super mayor. Quote, as someone who has made good governance the cornerstone of my career in public service, I recognize that maintaining the trust of those you serve and making decisions to their best interest is essential. The residents of Dolton deserve nothing less than a government that is fully accountable, responsive, transparent, and effective stewards of taxpayer dollars. Lightfoot said her experience leading Chicago would help provide findings and recommendations without bias. So if you're new to this story, and I can't imagine you are if you watch the show for any extended period of time, but it's kind of fascinating. Tiffany Henyard, it's a prime example of what I've said so often on this program about knowing who you're voting for. So they vote her in. She starts misusing taxpayer funds. She starts even printing out posters of herself, much like a dictator, and hanging them up around Dolton, making a lot of money but spending a lot of taxpayers' money. Dolton's village board voted to hire Lori Lightfoot on Monday night in an unofficial meeting being held at the off-site Park District facility rather than the Dolton Village Hall. That's interesting because when they were originally looking into the funds and wanting to do an audit, the super mayor vetoed the resolution. So it has been a very fascinating story. But get this, Lightfoot will be retained for $400 per hour. Already for a town that's broke because of their mayor's decision, $400 an hour. Lightfoot, previously an attorney with the powerful Chicago law firm of Mayer Brown, a federal prosecutor and Chicago's first black, female, and openly gay mayor, lost her bid for a second term last year. Monday night's vote at a special meeting came after 4 Dolton Board of Trustee members proposed hiring Lightfoot as additional legislative counsel to probe Henyard. The investigation stems from a series of events surrounding a tax-funded economic development trip to Las Vegas back in May of 2023. There was allegedly, quote, a total failure to report anything relative to potential economic development or any other event that took place in Las Vegas, the Board of Trustees has said. The village board says it wants a thorough investigation into the trip, including all expenditures, allegations of misconduct, and internal investigations. Henyard is also facing allegations she misspent federal COVID-19 relief funds. Oh, that's a new one. Hired contractors without seeking proper bids, overpaid vendors without approval from the board, and accepted large campaign contributions from vendors chosen by the mayor. Wow, the list goes on and on. The FBI is also reportedly investigating Henyard's alleged misuse of taxpayer money, including the hundreds of thousands of dollars the village paid in police overtime, allegedly for Henyard's personal security detail and accusations she held up licenses to certain businesses. Henyard has repeatedly refused to step down. She has been very outspoken in the sense that she will not step down. She has no problem vetoing any investigation into her. What a fascinating story. I really, truly believe this could be made into a movie. And I know it's not local, but it all boils down to it's important to know who you're voting for, because when it comes to local races, they are the ones that affect you the most. Those people are the ones that have more of a day-to-day direct, what's the word I'm looking for, a part of your life. That I know we talk about presidential, and I know we talk about Senate, and we talk about governor and Congress, because those are kind of the interesting ones that are always on TV. But when it comes to the local races, they do directly affect your day-to-day life. All right, we're going to go through some quick stories this morning because we missed yesterday, so we got to play some catch-up. Well, first of all, let me know what you think. We are going to take a break here in just a second, but what did you think of the eclipse? Did you travel? Were you disappointed? Were you happy? A lot of people talking about the eclipse. We're not going to focus on it all morning long, but Sunny Hostin on The View, she blamed the eclipse, earthquakes, and other issues of the day on climate change. Okay. All these things together would maybe lead one to believe that either climate change exists or something is really going on. She then claimed that her studio makeup artist put on her coat and ran down the hallway during the earthquake, saying, "Jesus is coming, the rapture is here." Now, Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg pushed back on her theory. Except earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't, Behar said. How about the warming of the planet? Sunny Hostin responded, "No, it happens. And the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen." And they actually can say that these things are going to happen. So there you go. Co-host Elisa Farrah Griffin joked that Trump caused the quake. I read online that the earthquake epicenter was actually at Bedminster in New Jersey. Fun fact, so it originated with Trump. Wow. How about those for a couple quick stories to bring to your attention? Again, be a part of the program this morning. We have a lot to cover. We are going to talk a little bit about Biden. We're going to talk a little bit about Trump. We do have some New York State issues. If you're not aware, the budget deadline has been extended. It looks like till Thursday, but there's talks now that it will be extended even further. We'll get to that in just a little bit. I do have some updates on squatters. I know this has been a really hot topic, so I wanted to pass a couple updates on to you. We'll also we're going to go through a lot of things. I don't want to give too much away. But again, I'm going to play that Glenn Miller Orchestra interview again because, again, some people seem to have a glitch at one point. Some of you seem to watch the whole thing and have no problems, but I had just a few responses saying that the Glenn Miller Orchestra interview did not play properly. So just to be on the safe side, I want to give them as much credit and give them as much promotion as I possibly can. But let's take our first break. We're just getting warmed up here on Frankly Speaking, so stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's Hot Tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
You've been tearing your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
Something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big Fox.
On Fox. It's the annual Scarlet and Gray game.
The new era begins today.
In a pivotal year for head coach Ryan Day, Ohio State looks to rise to the top of college football once again.
Are you kidding me?
Who will be the next Buckeye QB?
Wow, how about that?
Or the next great receiver?
Buckeye Nation has been waiting for this moment.
It all begins with the annual Ohio State Spring Game. Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox.
We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm your host, Frank Akam. This is Frankly Speaking. Let's give a couple updates on squatters. I know we talked with the Assemblyman on Friday about squatters and what's being done in Albany. Listen to this story, and there's so many of these stories. The frustrated owner of a Brooklyn home that was torched by squatters said he's repeatedly tried to do the right thing to fix up the house, but the intruders keep coming back. Zafar Iqbal, a 53-year-old MTA worker who bought the Hiker Heights home for $1.1 million in 2017. $1.1 million. Said he's now shelling out $6,000 a month in mortgage and going broke thanks to the unwelcomed intruders. He's even afraid to go near his own house for fear of the people who have taken up residence there. Every 2 or 3 weeks, I go there, but I don't approach. I don't know if these guys have weapons or whatever. My safety is precious, too. I got a couple of contractors. They started working on the house. Next thing I know, I got a call from the fire department that the house is burnt out. Somebody got in there and torched my house. That's when I found out it was a squatter living there. The squatters have more rights than the homeowners. I'm the owner of the house. How much more can I do? I need help. Saying that the squatters have more rights than the landlords. Yeah, it seems like, and I know I talked about it with the Assemblyman, but something's got to be done. This doesn't even seem like a partisan issue. No one seems happy with the way our laws are set up for squatters. Now, according to Fox News, a New York Republican lawmaker is railing against the state's squatting epidemic with a bill that would allow police to immediately evict squatters while ushering law and order back into the Democratic-run state. Quote, we need to make sure that we fix this huge epidemic right now. And it's coming more and more and more. Republican State Senator Mario Matera, who represents the 2nd Senate District on Long Island. New York, most notably in New York City, has been rocked by repeated instances of squatting cases. And we've brought up all these stories, including a handful that have turned violent and even murderous. Matera pointed to one man in Long Island in 2021, plumber Thomas Buckleman, who was brutally beaten with a baseball bat by a squatter when he was hired to winterize a building in Blue Point. We need to fix this now. We can stop the bleeding. The bleeding needs to stop. People are getting hurt. People are getting killed. And what are we going to do about it? Guess what? My bill gives the tools to all law enforcement to do their job. Now, we know it's not necessarily a positive time for law enforcement in Albany. If you look at the things that are being said, such as hasty, suggesting penalties are not a deterrent in crime. But we'll continue. Matera introduced a 4-part bill package late last month, including Senate Bill S8867, which would notably allow police to immediately evict a suspected squatter based on the legal homeowner's sworn testimony complaint. Just by a complaint, calling police officers prove that you are in ownership of the house and you have the attesting to certain facts can immediately cause a squatter or other unauthorized persons to be evicted from residential property by a police officer on the spot without court intervention. The bill is styled after a bill in Florida that Governor Ron DeSantis recently signed into law that eliminates the squatter scam. Matera lauded Florida and DeSantis for the bill's passage and called on Democrats in New York to rally around his bill as Democrats did in Florida. I would think, just from the political standpoint, that Democrats would want to rally around this. It makes it look like you care about the taxpayers, which could be important come election time. You know, the American dream, just think about it. Life, liberty, and property. The American dream. And you know what? It is shattered by bad laws of the land in New York State. This is a great law. Governor Ron DeSantis signed it. It was a bipartisan law. He signed it into law effective July 1st of 2024. Under New York law, people can claim squatters' rights after occupying a property for 10 years or more. Under New York City law, homeowners or squatters, can claim rights to property after living there for just 30 days. So 30 days in New York City. And you can declare that you own, essentially, the home. In many cases, squatters move into empty homes that are on the market or the homes of recently deceased people that either fly under the radar for 30 days in New York City to claim squatters' rights or produce fraudulent documentation that they are on a lease for the property. Such crimes are considered civil cases, meaning legal homeowners spent months in court and often thousands of dollars in legal fees to legally evict the squatters. It is unbelievable. So this is a really interesting piece. We don't have time to get to all of it this morning, but it goes through some of the crimes that have been associated with these squatters and what is being done elsewhere. But in New York, you would want to think Albany has enough common sense to do something about this, but then again, you never know with Albany. And we had that story about the man on TikTok explaining to recent migrants here how to misuse, the laws to get a free house, as he was bragging about it. It is amazing. So, some are looking out for us. Matera said that while he is working on passing his bill, Democrats are overwhelmingly nowhere to be found on squatting issues. A similar squatting bill was introduced in the New York Assembly that's sponsored by both a Republican and a Democrat, which Matera hopes is indication Democrats across the state will get on board with the bills. There's reason why we have people exiting New York to go to Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, especially in Texas. We lost over 1.5 million people that exited New York State because of bad laws. And you know what? People are frightened. People do not feel safe anymore. And that's a larger picture overall of public safety, not just with squatters, but public safety in general. And I can't see where anything's going to be done. If Hasty's mindset is penalties don't deter crimes, I don't think we can expect too many strict laws coming out of Albany, but very interesting. We got a couple of other New York State issues. We got a couple comments here. Yes, there is. So the Glenn Miller Band, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, I'm going to play that interview a little bit later on. I know I played it on Friday, but some people said there was a little bit of a glitch in it. So I want to make sure that we promote their new CD with Crystal Gale. But with regard to Glenn Miller, they will be in Rochester, Auburn, and Syracuse. Yes, I saw the list. It is amazing. For those who want to travel to see them, they have a fairly full concert schedule. I know. I was actually kind of shocked at how many dates that they had. Very, very impressive. Oh, we got some waves coming in. A little quiet on waves this morning. That's okay. Sorry about missing yesterday. How was your eclipse? I'd love to know. Here it was mostly clouds. Still a neat experience, but maybe not what we all had in mind. Do have an update on the Senate race here in New York we'll be getting to. The budget, a couple of economic issues, Biden, Trump, all of that, and much more. So stay with us. Keep those waves coming in. Let me know how the eclipse went, and we'll be right back after this quick commercial break. This is Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hasselson studio. Stay with us.
You just have to get in the seat of a John Deere 3 Series tractor. Not because of the powerful implements, or because of our unmatched dealer support, Not even because it's in it for the long haul. You just have to get in the seat because being this efficient just feels good.
Right now, get 0% financing for 72 months on a John Deere 1, 2, or 3 Series compact tractor.
Do you hate the way food that's gone bad? Does your pantry look like a bad disaster? What if you could keep your food as fresh as the day you bought it and vacuum seal any ingredient? Eric Thies here with my new portable, powerful PowerXL Duo NutriSealer. This incredible breakthrough in technology can savor any flavor while it seals in the freshness. What's the secret? The Duo NutriSealer will remove all the air. Once all the air is removed, the air pressure detection system is automatically activated and seals your bag tight. And it's the only patented handheld sealer that creates double seals. The Duo has a floating hinge and a built-in slicer to make bags of any size. You can even seal through liquid. Don't let its small compact size fool you. With just one touch of a button, the Duo seals any bag and it will stay bonded until you open it, guaranteed. The Duo NutriSealer locks in nutrients and freshness so you can keep your food 5 times longer. Prep and freeze delicious meals, or buy wholesale and seal individual packs and save up to 60%. Our bags are BPA free, microwave safe, and will never leach. Now you can get my PowerXL Duo NutriSealer for only 3 payments of $33.33. Plus, it comes with an ironclad 1-year VIP guarantee protection plan and my recipe book filled with marinades for super delicious meals. We're still not done. Order now and you'll receive an entire year's worth of bags. That's a $50 value, yours free. And we'll also include free shipping. All this is a $300 value, yours today for only 3 payments of $33.33. Remember, this is a special TV-only offer. So call or go to PowerXLDuo.com right now.
Call 1-877-869-2149 or go to PowerXLDuo.com.
And we are back. Look at our beautiful view of Marcus Street as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. I'm your host, Frank Acom. This is Frankly Speaking, the 2-hour edition. I'm so glad that you joined us. So I had mentioned this person before. There was 3 names being thrown around to run against Gillibrand for New York State Senate. And then, of course, the convention led to Mike Sapercone getting the nod from Republicans. But that is not the end of it. Cara Castronova, I think is how you say it, a former Golden Gloves boxing champ and celebrity fitness trainer on the reality show The Biggest Loser, claims she's collected enough signatures to run in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate against retired NYPD detective Mike Sapercone. Both Castronova, who's recently worked as a Newsmax reporter, and another wannabe GOP candidate, businessman Josh Eisen, and you may remember we had Josh Eisen on this program, and that was no endorsement. It was just someone that we had on the program that had reached out. Filed petitions to qualify for the ballot. The State Board of Elections confirmed this on Monday. If their petitions are not successfully challenged, the two would face off against Sapercone, with the winner then taking on heavily favored 3-term Democrat incumbent Senator Gillibrand on November the 5th. Sapercone beat out Castronova and Eisen for the party nod at the state convention in February. Former President Donald Trump, the 2024 Republican nominee for the White House, also endorsed Sapercone. Both Castronova and Eisen failed to garner 25% of the weighted delegates to qualify for ballot status to run in a Republican primary. It was interesting because this Cara Castronova is a big Trump supporter, so it was kind of interesting to see the former president endorse so early. Both Castronova, the only way to get to the ballot is to collect 15,000 signatures from registered Republicans, with at least 100 from 13 of the 26 congressional districts. Talk about a lot of work there. Castronova filed a designated petition on April the 4th that contained 35 volumes with more than 3,500 pages of signatures. Eisen's filing contained 16 volumes and 1,500 pages. As of Monday, Castronova's petitions haven't been challenged to knock her off the ballot, but that could change. General objections must be filed by the end of the day on Monday, with specific objections to voter signatures filed 6 days later. We'll see what happens. I do expect the petitions will be challenged. The parties don't like primaries. Well, yes. So I don't know if that was finally challenged yesterday or not, but it does look like there'll be a primary for Senate. And yeah, the parties don't like that because obviously it's more cost for any of the candidates to end up, when the smoke clears, having the nomination. But just giving you that update, does look like there'll be a primary for United States Senate against Gillibrand. Oh, wow. We got it. Okay. The eclipse didn't disappoint, as I knew that somehow someone would make the Trump correlation. Yes, of course, and it came from The View. Drove to Penn Yan to see the total eclipse. It was a little disappointing, but the drive through Watkins Glen, then past Vineyards, and the friendly local people at the ice cream shop made up for it. It's like a whole different country up there. Well, thank you very much. Keep those stories coming in. What did you think of the eclipse? A once-in-a-lifetime experience, we were told over and over again. What are you going to do with your glasses? All right, moving along here. Last New York State issue. The state budget deal is not expected this week, top lawmakers say. A fourth extender is likely. Now, the extender that's currently ongoing will keep workers paid through Thursday. They'll need to pass another one Thursday if there's not a budget deal by then. Members of the Assembly were in Albany on Sunday to approve the extender. They came back a day early so they could take Monday off and watch the eclipse from home, and we had predicted that. Lawmakers were hoping to return to the Capitol with a budget deal in sight, but that wasn't the case on Monday. Instead, a deal may be off the table for this week, Senate Deputy Majority Leader Mike Gianaris said on Monday. So, kind of what our prediction was, that you start with an extender and you kind of put that thought in the back of everybody's mind that, oh, we don't have to do it this Thursday. We can move it out a little bit further. Obviously, the deadline originally was the 1st. We are now 9 days past that, and nothing seems to be any closer to completion. But again, I don't know if that really concerns me. What concerns me is what the final budget will look like, not necessarily rushing it. Now, I know Hochul's big line is it's not about being on time, it's about getting a good budget. Well, so far, what we've seen in the past is it's not on time and it's not a good budget. So we'll see where that all heads. I just wanted to give you that update that we're probably looking at next week at this point, if that's something that you lose sleep over at night. So again, we're going to play that rebroadcast, that Glenn Miller interview in just a little bit. I thought the interview was really kind of fascinating, but some people had commented that they did not get the full interview, that there was an issue. So I just want to make sure that we talk more about the new album, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, 80th anniversary of the Army Air Force Band. So that'll be coming up in a little bit. And also, I don't think I've given you this update in a while, and I wanted to make sure that you mark your calendars for the San Giovanni Valderno Pasta Dinner and Piano Concert. We're going to have some guests from San Giovanni Valderno later on in the week and next week as well. Well, as you see there, Tuesday, April the 16th at the Corning High School. Come for dinner, stay for the performance. Dinner, 4:30 till 6:30. Menu, pasta, meatballs, salad, roll, and desserts. Eat in or take out, $15. Dinner and the concert, $20. 7 p.m. concert. Enjoy renowned concert pianist Andre Torini from San Giovanni Valderno. So I think that's going to be a pretty fun event. And I hope you have an opportunity to see that for yourself. So I wanted to mention that to you before we take this upcoming break. Boy, there's a lot to talk about, and I feel like we've already covered so much. But again, please let me know how your eclipse went. I'd love to know. We do have a few things here about Biden, a couple things about Trump. Here's a question I'll ask you, and this kind of ties in. Parents are urged to buy dumb phones instead of the smartphone to protect children from social media. Parents should be able to buy phones without social media apps for teenagers. This is coming out of the United Kingdom. We talk about it, this lack of community engagement, this lack of faith in the country, in the community, in faith. We've talked about it so often, and many have pointed to social media. Many have pointed to the smartphones that everyone has. What is your opinion? Daniel Kabir, General Secretary of the National Education Union, warned there is a link between the addictive nature of social media and screen time and how teenagers are feeling, after teachers reported a sharp rise in the number of pupils with poor mental health. He told the Telegraph that parents should have a choice and should be able to get their phones for their teenagers that come without access to apps. And this also kind of piggybacks. I know Mitch McConnell came out yesterday, or over the weekend, maybe. I think it was yesterday, wanting to ban TikTok. The NEU leader has become the latest prominent figure to support restrictions on addictive social media apps for children. Since February, tens of thousands of parents have joined a grassroots movement, Parents for a Smartphone-Free Childhood, launched to help parents support each other in delaying giving their children smartphones. The group, which has been invited to Downing Street, is backed by campaigners including the actress Sophie Winkleman. Well, okay, little UK there. But could you see something like that here, a movement like that here in the United States? Would you support something like that? Would you support the TikTok ban? I know there's a lot of back and forth on that, but I would like to hear your opinion. We are covering a lot this morning. Jamie Dimon has issued an economic warning we'll get to when we come back. A little bit later on, Glenn Miller Orchestra. Obviously, your comments, your questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, the number on the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to reach out at any point. But we do have to take a short break. Stay with us. This is, Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Coons sit and sleep in Corning. Hey, did you know that Coons has been in business since 1955? Wow, that's going on 70 years. And did you know that Coons is still family owned and operated? Really? That's 3 generations. Way to go, Steve. Did you also know that their salespeople are non-commissioned and they offer delivery and financing? That's awesome. So why do they want you to shop and compare then? Because they are confident that you won't find a better deal.
Guaranteed.
Coons sit and sleep in Corning.
Shop and compare.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
Order call 1-800-970-9843. That's 1-800-970-9843, or go to getbullseyepro.com.
Fox Wednesday, 2 worlds collide with The Masked Singer and Transformers.
We are ready.
The robots in disguise meet a wild card surprise.
I think this is Terry Crews,
Michael Irvin,
Deion Sanders.
No one is safe with a double elimination.
Who's it gonna be?
Tomorrow. Thank you again for joining us here on Frankly Speaking on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So Jamie Dimon released his annual letter to J.P. Morgan Chase shareholders, and it has been published. The widely read note offers a glimpse of his view on not just businesses, but the economy at a, quote, pivotal moment for America and the free world, with deep divisions at home and global uncertainty. Here are some of the highlights from that letter. The economy is resilient, but the government underpinning it is a red flag. Consumers are spending and investors expect a soft landing. But Dimon warns that the economy is being fueled by government spending and rising deficits. The deficits today are even larger and occurring in boom times, not as a result of a recession. And they have been supported by quantitative easing, which has never done before the great financial crisis, he writes. Inflation may be sticky. These markets seem to be pricing in at a 70% to 80% chance of a soft landing. Modest growth along with declining inflation and interest rates, Diamond writes, adding that the odds are actually a lot lower. Global uncertainty is another dark cloud. The wars in Ukraine and the Middle East could further disrupt energy and food markets, migration, and military and economic relationships. That shock coincides with a surge in public investment to power a green transition, restructure supply chains and trade relationships, and boost healthcare spending. Industrial policy is needed but should be limited and targeted. Diamond says the U.S. must be tough with China but engage with Beijing. That includes establishing independent on supplies of materials crucial to national security like rare earth, semiconductors, and 5G infrastructure. He did say that he believes the Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS Act get it right. Now, there was some talks about Jamie Dimon, wasn't there, that he may not support Biden necessarily? I can't remember what the political hullabaloo was all about, but we'll continue. Dimon warns about the deep political divisions at home. Dimon doesn't explicitly weigh in on the election. His public backing for some of Donald Trump's economic policies caused a stir at Davos in January. But he said the U.S. is grappling with highly charged emotional and political issues centering around the border security crisis and the fraying of the American dream. The fraying of the American dream. Isn't that interesting? You talk about the American dream, too, and you talk about home ownership, and then you see what's going on with squatters. It does kind of all tie in together, doesn't it? So that's probably enough on that. Just giving you some updates before we head into November of everything going on. Did you know, I mentioned last week, what was it up to retire? You would need to, I think, have 1.45 million. That number may not be 100% accurate, but I think it was 1.45 million to retire comfortably. Well, now, retiring in your 60s is becoming an impossible goal. This tying in with what Jamie Dimon had to say. And yes, we are going to go through a lot of various topics without great segues at all. Is 75 the new 65? People are living longer and daily life is getting more expensive. It may be time to rethink the timeline for leaving the workforce. Handing in your proverbial badge in your 60s has been the goal for many workers around the world. Turning 65 would open a golden portal to retirement. Yet increasingly, the idea of stepping away from the workforce in your 60s doesn't seem realistic or even sensible for many people, especially now. Some major financial figureheads agree. In March, investment management firm BlackRock released its annual letter to the company investors. Its CEO, Larry Fink, sounded a warning for workers hoping to retire comfortably and financially secure in their 60s. As global life expectancy grows, social safety nets fray, and cost of living spikes, Fink warned that a retirement at age 65 won't be possible for many, even most people. Retirement is a much harder proposition than it was 30 years ago, wrote Fink. And it'll be a much harder proposition 30 years from now. Wow. Well, there you go. How about that for some doom and gloom this morning? I know. Sorry. Life expectancy has been continuing to go up since the mid-1850s, Rebecca Sear said. But the retirement age hasn't changed that much. As both the health and economic landscape has changed dramatically, is retirement at 65 an entirely unrealistic goal in a modern world? Not only has the target retirement age not changed in step with modern circumstances, but it's also, quote, unclear why the mid-60s became such a focal age for retirement. In ways, it was a rough judgment intended to usher people out of the workforce towards the very end of their lives, yet many government programs continue to use it as a standard. In the U.S., Medicare, the federal health care insurance program, is currently available only to adults age 65 and older. There are expectations for younger people with disabilities, or there are exemptions, for younger people with disabilities. Americans become eligible to receive their full Social Security benefits at age 67, roughly the same age that UK citizens can claim their universal state pensions. So what do you think? We are covering so much this morning. I'm so glad that you joined us. We have a lot here to talk about with Biden, a lot about Trump as well. Again, what do you think about parents having the opportunity, or having the opportunities, right, to buy phones that they're calling dumb phones to give to their teenagers so they don't have all of the apps? Good idea, bad idea, indifferent. Also, What do you think about all the New York State issues? Do you have someone, I know it's early, but do you have someone that you like in the Senate race on the Republican side? Mentioning that there is a three-way race, it looks like, unless those petitions are challenged. We've got a few other things to get to as well. Like I said, I'm going to be playing the Glenn Miller Orchestra interview again a little bit later on in the broadcast. Boy, I don't know. I don't even know where to go from here. What did you think about the eclipse? I'm going to keep asking that. Yeah. All right. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
Tending the you love is a lot easier when you share the heavy lifting. Team up with Polaris Ranger, your hard-working partner for backyards, the backwoods, farms, and ranches.
Ithaca Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
Time yet?
It's time.
Come start time for dinner.
Oh, it's terrific.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
It's a new season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. You see the number on the bottom of your screen. Feel free to reach out at any time. We do have a lot of guests scheduled for this week. I forgot my calendar at home, but I believe tomorrow we talk with former Congressman Tom Reed. We're going to have some guests from San Giovanni Valderno very soon, so you'll just have to tune in every morning. And also let me know what you thought of the eclipse. All right, so Donna Brazile. Remember Donna Brazile? This is interesting because we know Rona McDaniel got booted out of NBC because she was political in some way. But yet Donna Brazile, even though she was the head of the DNC and helped Hillary Clinton, we know that, fed Hillary Clinton some of the questions when she was going to debate Bernie Sanders, she's still okay. She is always given the platform, the outlet. Former Democrat National Committee Chairwoman Donna Brazile argued Sunday that President Biden should speak out more while lamenting that nobody listens when he does make public remarks. This goes to the point that we talked about, that they kept bragging up that $25 million fundraiser, that this was the biggest deal in the world. But it took having two other former presidents there to really get the crowd, and celebrities. When asked during an appearance on ABC's This Week if Biden should make more public comments on the war in the Middle East and Ukraine, Brazile responded absolutely before criticizing the media. Not just in Israel, Ukraine. We are a superpower. He is the commander-in-chief. Absolutely, he should speak out more. And also, we should cover what he's saying because often when he speaks, nobody listens. Boy, it's so interesting to me to see how often they're upset with the media. With the kid glove treatment that he's received, there's still anger somehow with this media that's not giving him enough coverage. Biden has kept a low media profile throughout his presidency, interacting with the press far less than many of his predecessors. Not since former President Ronald Reagan has the commander-in-chief conducted fewer press conferences than Biden, according to political scientist Martha Kumar. Biden has also participated, boy, I'm tongue-tied this morning, in fewer sit-down interviews than the previous 6 presidents over the same time span. His last Oval Office address to the nation was in October. Can you believe that? When he called on Congress to pass over $100 billion in security and humanitarian assistance for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. It was only the second primetime Oval Office address of his presidency. Now, Democrat strategist Paul Begala argued back in February that Biden should spend more time in front of cameras and microphones in the run-up to his November rematch. I'm not really sure. I don't think that's what his campaign wants. I think his campaign is hoping very much so for a repeat of 2020 where he can stay in his basement, get a lot of attention when he does give a speech, a lot of attention when he does really do the most minuscule amount of speaking, because every time he opens his mouth. Now, Begala's argument was that, listen, the gaffes are built in. We all know that Biden's going to have the gaffes. We have to look past that. And he's got to start giving some speeches. He's got to be more aggressive. Biden has frequently told crowds that he will get in trouble for answering unauthorized questions. The president has been heard on multiple occasions asking staffers for permission to take a couple of questions during campaign stops and public appearances. Yes, that is very awkward when he does that as president of the United States. I think it shows a weakness there. That's maybe not the image they want to project. But what is your thoughts on that? Do you think that that would be a benefit for Biden if he spoke out more, if he did more press conferences, if he did more speeches? Do you think that helps him in the long run? Donna Brazil believes that it's necessary, then goes on to criticize, of course, the media, which, again, to me is so confusing. When you have an ally there in the media, clearly an ally, who's done so much to protect Biden, why would you then criticize that same media? At some point, do the people in the media say enough is enough? I don't think they do, because it's all about politics, first and foremost. But if you start getting letters from the White House, which they have, saying, we don't like the way you cover this, what about covering that? Is there somebody in the newsroom that goes, wait a minute, let me do my job, Mr. President? But apparently no one has made that statement or that stance yet. Okay, smartphones, this is from a viewer, are a double-edged sword. On one edge, they're addicting, time-consuming, and keeps us from the past face-to-face interactions that included handshakes or hugs. On the other edge of the sword, they connect us to the world in a kind of future shock way. Television had the same effect on the modern population, but now it's gone completely mobile. It's the price of progress that nobody can imagine being without. And that genie is out of the box with kids now, too, and probably too late to go back. That is a very good point. It probably is too late to go back. That's why they have that group. If you're just joining us, there's a group of parents that have, in the United Kingdom, that have joined on that campaign against smartphones. But it's really just to encourage each other, if you read between the lines, to stand strong, even if your teenager is mad at you. Another comment. If Biden spoke out more, it could only benefit Trump. That's a good point. Or RFK Jr. We do have a story about RFK Jr. coming up in just a little bit. The media is going great guns after him right now. They start to see the writing on the wall that he will cost Biden some votes. That's the theory anyway. So now you're seeing some very, very nasty articles coming out about RFK Jr., the conspiracy theorist. What do you think? He's not backing down. I don't know. I haven't seen any more campaign spending information on him. And I don't know about fundraising either, how he's doing there. But according to the polls right now, he would be eligible for the presidential debate if there is one. Now, I know former Congressman Joe Simplinsky and myself kind of disagreed a little bit. I don't think there will be a presidential debate. I just don't see a scenario where, going back to this point about Biden speaking out more, I don't see it being beneficial to him. And the people around him are making sure to keep everything quiet, close-knit. And boy, a debate with Trump is difficult under the best circumstances. The most fresh that you are, look at Ted Cruz. Was in, what was it, Harvard Debate Club, president of the Harvard Debate Club, something like that, and still was not prepared in many ways for the unorthodox, we'll put it that way, unorthodox style of former President Trump when it came debate season. And we all remember those clips, all remember what that looked like for lack of a better word, career politicians all of a sudden who've done debates a similar way their whole career, now having someone coming in there and swinging for the fences. So, all very interesting. I would love to have you weigh in on this and anything else you'd like. Coming up a little bit later on, probably in the 7 o'clock hour, we are going to rebroadcast that Glenn Miller Orchestra interview, and we are going to take our last break for this hour. Boy, that went fast, didn't it? We got a little over 1 hour left together on this Tuesday morning edition. Let me know how your eclipse experience was, and we'll be right back after this. This is Frankly Speaking on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Friends have been telling friends about Colonial Penn Guaranteed Acceptance Whole Life Insurance for more than 50 years, and with good reason. If you're between the age of 50 and 85, it's a sure thing. Your acceptance is guaranteed because full benefits are not paid in the first 2 years. And the price? Options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. With Colonial Penn, your rate is another sure thing. It will never increase. And you should know this coverage can last a lifetime.
Call today, 1-800-475-1050.
Sorry about that. Looks like I came up a little bit short on my break. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A little tongue-tied this morning. I don't want you to forget, so I want to mention this, that the Friends of the Southeast Steuben County Library book sale is right around the corner, so mark your calendar. There are the prices, and those are the days and times. That's an organization that we like to support here on the program. And in the past, we even had interviews because I have one in the spring and one in the fall. But it's important there to know, cash or checks only. So keep that in mind. And first day is for the Friends members only, which you can join or renew at the door at the event. Adult hardcovers, $3.50. Large paperbacks, $2.50. Small paperbacks, $1.50. Children's hardcovers, $1. Paperbacks, $50. And some specials are higher than that. So I just wanted to mention that to you. Mark your calendars. Do not forget about the Friends of the Southeast Steuben County Library book sale coming up right around the corner. Okay. How much time do I have? There is a couple stories here about RFK Jr. There's a few things here about Joe Biden that we're going to get to in the next hour. Some Trump updates. Oh, Israel updates. Netanyahu has declared there is a date for the Rafah invasion, as Hamas claims no ability to free 40 hostages. So we'll talk about that as well. A couple things here about Israel, and maybe a couple things here about Trump. But I don't want to get into it because all of these are kind of in-depth conversations. I don't want to go on a tangent right before the top of the hour. How's this? A comment from a viewer. I don't see a debate happening unless they juice him up as they did for the State of the Union address, where he shouted at and insulted the folks. I would love to see it happen because he falls apart when he has to go off script and you see the real deal. Yeah, isn't it amazing how, and they've done this 2 times now, but with the state, well, maybe all of the times, but I remember it 2 times where the State of the Union was just the greatest speech. And if you recall in this program, I predicted it before it even happened, that they're going to say it's the greatest speech Biden's ever given. Because at that time, if you recall, he was definitely suffering, and still is, from that image, the optics of how many gaffes he was making, at the time and how he just looked older. So they had to put him out there, and he had to be fiery. Now, was he fiery? Yeah, but I don't think in an effective way. Now, this goes back to my point about Donna Brazile complaining about the media. That was an example where the media told us, again, like they always do, never mind what you saw. That was a great speech. Maybe one of the greatest speeches a president has ever given. Not a surprise, but yes, I think I just don't see when he's off teleprompter. I don't see that going well, especially in a debate with Trump. Because again, Trump is not someone you can predict. You can practice as much as you want, put somebody in there that can pretend to be Trump, but at the end of the day, you never know which direction the former president, Donald Trump, is going to go in a debate. That's why, in many ways, he was so effective, because none of us were used to that during the primary or the presidential against Hillary. And it was so, I guess, entertaining, maybe the word, as compared to, and I made this comment before, when Trump goes away, when he's done, people are going to forget. People are going to actually realize, because they had forgotten, how boring some political events are. And one thing you can never say is a Trump debate being boring. Yes, I know. So tired of news showing Trump ahead in polls and 3 stories on legal issues. Yes, I know. And it's amazing, too, when you see the coverage about the trials, or you see the coverage about the polls. This is why I don't like polls. You go to one outlet, and it's all Trump's up. You go to another outlet, Trump is down. He's terrified of his poll numbers. It's all very fascinating. So, anyway, we've got to take our last break. Yes, thank you for this. I have, we're not really on immigration right now, but this is a good point from a viewer, Ken. Possibly not relevant to today's topics. I didn't know if you had seen this. Fox News said last week that the number of Chinese nationals that have illegally entered the country isn't 25,000 from 2021 to today. They said it was about 140,000. And from previous pictures, it looks like mostly military-aged young men. Yes, there's been a lot of people bringing that up, and thank you, Ken, for highlighting that. It's not necessarily in our topics. I don't have anything immigration here. But that is a very, very troubling number. And just in general, obviously with the open porous borders, we talk about it so often, with the potential for terrorists, we've seen those numbers. There's a reason why it's resonating with so many people, why it's the number 1 or number 2 issue, depending on what poll you go to. Number 1 or number 2 issue on voters' minds. The open porous border and public safety is normally the 1 and 2, and it kind of flops around every once in a while. But yes, thank you for bringing that up. It is very concerning. I know a lot of people speculating that there's more there, and why those numbers are so high. I'll let you be the judge of that, and you can weigh in at any point. But we do have to take our break and wrap up this hour of Frankly Speaking. Boy, time flies when you're having fun. Thank you so much for joining us again. Please let me know what you thought of the eclipse, what your experience was. I would love to hear from you. We got a lot here about Biden. We're just covering everything this morning. It's one of those kind of mornings, so you'll have to stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, please, as I find my break, stay with us.
Attention anyone new to Medicare, moving or losing coverage for any reason. You may qualify for a Medicare special enrollment period. Call now to see if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Part C plan with extra benefits. Did you know Medicare Part C is commonly called Medicare Advantage? If you qualify for an SEP, call now because there may be plans with extra benefits available that are not covered under Medicare Parts A and B. There are people who qualify for special enrollment but don't have a Medicare Advantage Part C plan, which covers everything at Part A and Part B, plus extra benefits not covered by original Medicare. Here's the good news. If you qualify, you can call now. We will check to see if there is a Medicare Advantage Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. Call now to speak with a licensed insurance agent to see if you are eligible to enroll in a 2023 Medicare Advantage plan with extra benefits like dental coverage or savings on prescription medications. You don't get these extra benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2023 no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-920-7670. 800-920-7670.
Getting real video
for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
We are back. Hour number 2 with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Now, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other on Joe Rogan, though I do know a lot of people follow him, watch his podcast. Well, Joe Rogan speculated on Saturday about what he thinks will happen in the Democrat Party and that they will replace President Biden on their presidential ticket. Rogan went back and forth on the podcast episode initially about when he thinks the Democrat Party's plans are, what he thinks they are for Biden, stating the idea that they're going to keep running him is just bananas. You're going to keep him in there? I can't believe that's real. But as time goes on, I'm starting to think they actually might keep running him. Now, he was on with the comedian Andrew Schulz. He noted that Democrats have few viable options to replace him with. Quote, I don't know why that they would switch him out. They're not in a position they can switch him out for anybody who steps in. He would have to kick the bucket, Rogan theorized, and then Gavin Newsom stepping in. But then he believes, because Kamala Harris is so disliked, that Kamala would still run as VP, but not as president. May is when he predicts. May, I think Biden's got until May. I feel like right around May, they're going to pull him. And Newsom comes in. Rogan said, I think he just has health problems and the country understands, and Newsom is going to have his full support. And Kamala is going to be like, I don't even want to be president. I'm cool with being vice president. So Newsom runs with Kamala. I don't think they can pull Kamala, suggesting she is not a liability for now, as long as they can keep her quiet. I think she's a liability to many, because remember, she's the border czar, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott last week kind of picking on her for that title. This administration is all in on this stuff, talking about some of the social issues. Anyway, we don't want to go through all that. So Joe Rogan, for whatever it's worth, just mentioning it, believes that Biden has until May. That he's only going to be in there till May and then step down. So, I'm having some health issues, and then Gavin Newsom steps up. We've talked about that in the past. I mean, it doesn't seem likely that they would do it this late. It seemed like something they would do really months ago. But there is that argument that he could say, well, you've seen the gaffes. I'm just not doing that well. I'm stepping down for the country. I think everybody just throws Gavin Newsom around because he was pretty much running a shadow presidential campaign. So I think that's why his name's thrown around. But if Biden does step down, they'll have to have some type of successor. And it won't be, and I would agree to that point. I don't think it could be Harris. I think the Democrats understand that would be doomed from the beginning. Did you see, though, speaking of this, we've talked about the buying of votes. President Biden submitted a new plan to make college loans a lighter lift for debt holders. Up to 30 million Americans could benefit from the measures announced yesterday. A redo of Biden's previous student loan forgiveness attempt that the Supreme Court booted out last summer. The initiative targets older borrowers and people saddled with debt from accrued interest. If the proposal makes it past the expected legal challenges, it will, quote, cancel up to $20,000 in federal loan interest regardless of income, providing relief to millions of people whose debt exceeds the initial loan they took out, entirely forgive the debt of anyone who's been making loan payments for more than 20 years, cut down loans for people who didn't receive sufficient financial value from their studies due to specific education quality issues, and people who may be eligible for loan forgiveness programs but haven't applied. So if you went in and you majored in something that couldn't find you a job after, is what that would sound like, sufficient financial value. The announcement comes as some of America's most prestigious colleges are getting price tags steeper as it says here, than the rock climbing walls at the facilities. An academic year at institutions including Boston, Dartmouth, and University of Pennsylvania will cost at least $90,000 this fall, and many expect it will soon cross the $100,000 mark at some schools. Though Biden's debt relief efforts mainly help people who graduated years ago, current and incoming students worried about future debt can at least take comfort in knowing that most people don't end up paying the sticker price for their education. Need-based government grants, scholarships, and financial aid colleges often cover much of the cost. Universities with stacked endowments are especially generous. Every Ivy League school offers free tuition for families in the lower tax bracket. So another example of what some would call buying votes. A lot of loan forgiveness right here as we enter the campaign season, which I know they say the main campaign season is Labor Day, after Labor Day. But I think we're already seeing it. We're going to talk a little bit about that because obviously Biden had his big $25 million fundraiser. Trump answering back. We'll talk about that as well. Here's a comment from a viewer. I'm glad I don't get my marching orders from the Weather Channel, who loves to promote and sensationalize climate change. Personally, I'm glad I didn't invest in air and hotel for the eclipse event. Yeah, boy, I feel bad for all of those people that spent so much money. I had numerous friends that traveled quite a distance, and it was so cloudy that I would argue that if you didn't know an eclipse was happening, you wouldn't have realized yesterday was anything special. It just because of the clouds. We went to Sodas Point on Lake Ontario to watch the eclipse. We saw the moon start to cover the sun. Then the clouds covered it completely for the duration. The highlight was it going pitch black in totality for about 4 minutes or so. The downside was a huge jams of traffic on the way home. I was wondering about that. I know the media's been reporting on it a lot, but the traffic jams, we had talked about it, I think, with Joe Sempolinski, that some people were suggesting it'd be like Woodstock or Summer Jam, where they just pull their car over and get out. So if you experienced bad traffic, I'd love to hear from you. If you traveled, what was it like? What was the experience coming home? All right, we do have to take a short break. As I mentioned, we're going to hear that interview. I know I played it on Friday in the 6 o'clock hour. Some people brought it to my attention that there may have been an issue with it and I don't know if that was your service provider or what, because some people said it was fine, some people said it wasn't. I just want to make sure that we play it because the Glenn Miller Orchestra is celebrating its 80th anniversary, and they have that new album out, the Glenn Miller Orchestra 80th Anniversary of the Army Air Force Band, and it contains one of our favorites, Crystal Gale, on the CD. So we'll talk with the orchestra leader coming up in just a little bit. How am I doing on time? I'm doing good. So this is from CNN, and we're not going to dive into this yet. We'll talk about it after we hear from the Glenn Miller Orchestra conductor. But RFK Jr., his New York campaign official, says her, quote, #1 priority is preventing a Biden victory. So they're presenting this as, see, wolf in sheep's clothing. He's trying to be a spoiler. He's trying to get Trump in there. They are trying to make anybody on the fence about voting for RFK Jr. hate him. So we're going to talk about that as well. Oh, we got a couple waves coming in. Thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about what was said here in just a little bit. But let me take my first break. And when we come back, we will hear from the orchestra leader of the Glenn Miller Orchestra. Oh, what else do we have here? Coming home from Penn total eclipse. The only bottleneck in traffic was going through Watkins Glen. Interesting. I know that's kind of a tough traffic area. Anyway, how about wow, everybody's weighing in. Thank you. I went to Brockport, left early because it was getting ready to rain. Got all the way to Avon when the total eclipse hit. It was raining, got really dark like night, and then from Dansville to Corning, both lanes of traffic on 390, bumper to bumper, almost lots of out-of-state cars. Yeah, I wondered if it would be bumper to bumper, because even just seeing it, I just came into Corning, but just even the traffic around here. Very interesting. Thank you. Keep those eclipse stories coming in. Were you disappointed? Was it what you expected? Did you get a good view? I would love to hear from you, but we've got to take a break. And when we come back, Glenn Miller Orchestra. So stay with us. This is, Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
Wow. You found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and lime scale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Guys, what I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less,
with no cuts or nicks.
Introducing Remington's new and improved Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results. And only through this exclusive TV offer, now you can try it in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Balder Boss is the fast, easy, safe way to shave your head, wet or dry, in 90 seconds or less, without nicks or cuts.
No nicks, no scrapes. Fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
The 360-degree pivoting neck contours closely around your head curves for maximum contact, anytime, anywhere, in 90 seconds or less. With exclusive Wet Tech technology, shave in the shower, or with any foam or gel. Japanese-grade steel blades and turbo power plow through the thickest of hair, yet gentle enough it won't irritate skin. With pure lithium power that lasts up to an incredible 60 minutes. That's like 1 full month of use without a recharge. Then easily rinses clean. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groom. Now you can try the Remington Balder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. But wait, order now and we'll ship it to you absolutely free. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer for the ultimate groom. Free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Every Balder Boss comes with a 5-year limited warranty where durability is guaranteed, plus a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't absolutely love it, send it back, but keep the trimmer as our gift just for trying.
I got a clean, nice, smooth shave in under 90 seconds. No nicks, no cuts.
So order now.
We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox, rebroadcasting that Glenn Miller Orchestra interview in just a moment. Before that, we went to Penn Yan Airport, and the traffic on 86 East from Bath to Corning was bad, bumper to bumper. So it seems like a lot of people had the same experience that after it was over, a lot of traffic out there. But I would love to hear your stories. Thank you for the videos, by the way, and the pictures that people are sending in. Pretty neat event. It's too bad that the weather was not cooperative, especially for those who traveled so far. But I hope that you had a good experience. Okay, now we're going to rebroadcast that interview because there was a little bit of a technical glitch on Friday, so I wanted to make sure that you got all the information from the Glenn Miller Orchestra about their new album, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, 80th anniversary of the Army Air Force Band, and we talked with Eric Stabenow. So not stay with us. So tune in for this. I know if you saw it on Friday, I apologize, but it's only fair to give them as much promotion as possible if there was a technical glitch. And then we'll be back. A lot to cover. So stay with us. Here we go. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And joining us, we're about to talk about the Glenn Miller Orchestra. Eric, thanks so much for being on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So the new album, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, 80th anniversary of the Army Air Force Band, is out today. It contains 15 classics. But I think this is important. It has strings involved. How does that impact the music?
Yeah, there was a short period in Glenn's career when he was in the military, and he led a military band that had not only the typical sort of jazz band or swing band that we think of, but had strings as well. So the arrangements, the music from that period is extremely beautiful and lush, and it really lends a lot to the sound having the string section there too.
What do you think it is that has created this lasting power of Glenn Miller after all these years?
Yeah, it's a great question. The band still tours 8 years later, and I think part of it is because Glenn had some of these big #1 hits back in the 30s and the 40s. I think there's certain musicians that will be remembered from every decade. And Glenn is without a doubt one of those musicians from the 30s and 40s. And the other reason is the association of this music with World War II.
Right.
You know, this was significant music at a significant time in this country's history, and it will always be associated with World War II.
You really couldn't have a movie about World War II without some Glenn Miller song being in the soundtrack, right?
Absolutely, yeah, you're right about that.
I was surprised to learn in doing research before our interview here that he received the first ever gold record. Now that's thrown around so often, but in 1942 with Chattanooga Choo Choo, which is such obviously a song that's synonymous with that time as well.
Yeah, first gold record for Chattanooga Choo Choo. They recorded it in 1941, actually for a film that starred Glenn Miller called Sun Valley Serenade. And within a year of its release, the next year, 1942, it had sold 1 million copies. So it was a bit of a publicity stunt, I suppose, at the time. Recorded this first gold record live on a radio broadcast. But that kind of thing stuck, and yeah, we got gold records and platinum and diamond and all that for ever since.
Yeah. So what goes into picking the songs for an album like this?
Yeah, we looked through a lot of these songs that featured the string section, specifically around 1944, which is, we're now celebrating the 80th anniversary of that. And there's a lot to choose from. But we just picked some of the great melodies and some of the beautiful songs from that time period. And as a matter of fact, this stuff was performed back in 1944, but it was never officially recorded in the studio.
Oh, interesting.
So this is kind of the first time this music has been recorded this way.
Now, how much were you involved with the project, other than obviously playing?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, so I play tenor saxophone and sing a few of the vocals as well. But, you know, we had a period of preparing for this project, you know, where we first listened through the music and chose the music. And I was involved with some other folks in the company and our producers to kind of make some of those decisions. And then once we had the songs picked out, really it was just about preparing the band, preparing the musicians to go in the studio. And we're lucky that the Glenn Miller Orchestra tours as much as we do. So we had the same musicians on tour that we went into the studio with. So the whole thing, hopefully, you know, is pretty seamless.
Yeah, of course. You already had a leg up. You had all the practice sessions in. And we have to mention this because this is a friend of my show. The Grand Ole Opry member, Crystal Gayle, is a part of the album. How cool is that?
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
It really is. And she sang beautifully on this classic from that era called Sentimental Journey. So that's kind of the single to introduce people to the album. And it's extremely exciting.
She's phenomenal, isn't she? She must be nice to work with, too, I would imagine.
Yeah, you know, we recorded some different parts of this album at different times. So she went in the studio a little bit afterwards. But, yeah, just fantastic vocals and yeah, just a fantastic opportunity.
Do you have a favorite that's on the album?
Crystal's, I would certainly say is up there. Sentimental Journey. You know, I love all the vocals. I sang some of the traditionally male vocals, and we also have a gal singer who sang some of the traditionally female vocals, and of course Crystal's songs. So I would say the vocals are some of my favorites.
How different is it to record an album like this? And we're talking about the Glenn Miller Orchestra 80th anniversary of the Army Air Force Band out today. How different is it doing this and performing live?
Yeah, the experience typically is quite a bit different going into the studio versus playing live. However, the goal with this recording was to really kind of simulate the sound of a live show. So, you know, typically if you go in the studio, you might be in there for days or weeks at a time with every musician doing something a little bit different. But the way we recorded this is we got all 15 of us in the Glenn Miller Orchestra. I'm maybe counting wrong, 16, 17. We got the whole band.
You lose track at some point.
Yeah, and we all recorded our parts in the same room at the same time, which is rare, you know, especially nowadays for like pop music or country music or whatever. So we did try to simulate the experience of like a live situation, but of course recorded in the studio. You've got all the microphones, and it's going to be a little different inherently.
Now, have you found yourself always to be a Glenn Miller fan? Is this something you grew up with?
Yeah. I always liked big band music and swing music. My parents liked this stuff too, so I grew up a bit in the household. And I started playing the saxophone at age 10, so you know, just ended up playing in some jazz bands after that. And I was, of course, familiar with Glenn's music.
Of course.
At the time, I didn't necessarily envision myself touring with the Glenn Miller Orchestra at any point, but
since 2017, as a matter of fact. So you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, 7 years now. I thought I'd play on the band for about 7 months.
So before I ask you what that journey's been like being on since 2017, I've got to mention this because I think there was some confusion with our paperwork, but you're actually not that far from us originally. We're in Corning, New York. So you are Western New York. It just said Western. What part of New York are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Rochester, actually.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So I hope you're familiar with Corning.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Museum of Glass. Yeah.
Of course. So, and you went to the Eastman School of Music. So we're all very familiar with this. So you're kind of a hometown boy makes good. How's that?
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And we come through Western New York a few times every year. We played Buffalo last fall. We're playing Rochester soon.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, I love it. Yep.
So what has the journey been like for you to be involved with this since 2017?
It's really been incredible. I love this music, big band music, swing music, of course, Glenn Miller's music.
Yeah.
And this band is really the last one that's kind of touring full time like this. Back in the 30s and the 40s, this was the popular music.
Right.
And there was bands all over the country. And nowadays, the Glenn Miller Orchestra is certainly the last ones that play as much as we do. So to have the opportunity to play this music professionally on a full-time basis all around the country is just really special, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, before we go, I know you're a busy person. What would you say to people that are maybe on the fence, say, should I get this album? What would you say about this album that would convince them to go out today and buy the Glenn Miller Orchestra 80th anniversary of the Air Force Band?
Yeah, this genuinely is some of the most beautiful music of the 1940s and the swing era. If you're a fan of Glenn Miller, it has that same classic Glenn Miller sound, but the addition of the strings is just incredible. It's beautiful stuff. Just listen to one of the songs on the album, and I'm sure you'll love it.
Sure, you'll love it. And I think you mentioned, but how long from beginning to end does a project like this take? Was this in the works for a long time?
Yeah, I think the planning stage, I don't even know how long that was, but even once we got into the studio, people are in and out of the studio, and it needs to be mixed and mastered, and it's, it has taken probably a year and a half at this point to kind of blend everything together, which is exciting.
Where's the best place for people to buy the album?
Yeah, check out our website, glennmillerorchestra.com, and that's got some information about the band, and it's got a store on there with the albums and our tour schedule as well. So that's probably the easiest place to find everything for the band, glennmillerorchestra.com.
We'll put Corning on your tour list next time, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show. Good luck with the album. All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
New Chevrolet Trax LT, push button start, remote start, heated seats, adaptive cruise for only $24,799. Only at Elm Chevrolet. Visit us online at elmchevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
Order call 1-800-970-9843. That's 1-800-970-9843, or go to getbullseyepro.com.
In a game of few words. Urkel, glasses. Nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5:30 on Big Fox.
On Fox. It's the annual Scarlet and Gray game.
The new era begins today.
In a pivotal year for head coach Ryan Day, Ohio State looks to rise to the top of college football once again.
Are you kidding me?
Who will be the next Buckeye QB?
Wow, how about that?
Or the next great receiver?
Buckeye Nation has been waiting for this moment.
It all begins with the annual Ohio State Spring Game. Saturday at noon Eastern on
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We received this comment from a viewer. It's great hearing you and Eric reminisce about American musical history and American history in general. It's great seeing younger generations who care about our history rather than the neo-Marxists trying to destroy our history. Good job. Thank you. I thought Eric did a really good job. I thought it was an interesting interview. We did broadcast on Friday as well, but again, there was some technical glitch. I just want to make sure that everybody saw the full interview. So RFK Jr.'s New York campaign official says her number one priority is preventing a Biden victory. This is coming from CNN, so take it with a grain of salt. But a New York-based campaign official for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is pitching Republican voters to support his independent presidential bid by arguing that Kennedy will help Donald Trump defeat Joe Biden if he's on the ballot in New York. Rita Palma, who has identified herself as the Kennedy campaign state director in New York, has repeatedly made the case, including in a meeting with Empire State Republicans, that efforts to put Kennedy on the ballot in New York would help, quote, get rid of Biden, which she called her number one priority. The only way that Trump can even remotely possibility of taking New York is Bobby on the ballot. If it's Trump versus Biden, Biden wins. Biden wins 6 days, 7 days a week. With Bobby in the mix, anything can happen. The only way for him, for Bobby, to shake it up and to get rid of Biden is if he's on the ballot in every state, including New York. Palma's comments came as the Biden campaign has argued that Kennedy's campaign is a spoiler that will ultimately benefit Trump at the ballot box in November. But originally they told us differently, remember? Isn't that interesting? And you've heard me say this a million times, but you know when the media tells you something to help as a Republican, they don't have the Republicans' best interest at heart. Palma confirmed to CNN the legitimacy of the video, saying Rita Palma is a ballot access consultant responsible of scheduling volunteer shifts for our upcoming signature collection drive in the Empire State. She is not involved in electoral strategy nationally or in New York. This was not a campaign event. Palma was speaking as a private citizen, and her statements in no way reflect the strategy of the Kennedy campaign, which is to win the White House with votes from former Trump and Biden supporters alike. Palma is listed as the point of contact for multiple petition training events on the Kennedy campaign website, featuring her official Kennedy campaign email address. Now, again, in the video of Palma's presentation to Republican voters, which was initially posted to YouTube but has since been removed, she referenced a series of slides summarizing her argument for backing Kennedy, which included a slide listing action items Republicans would use to, quote, block Biden from winning the presidency. Among those actions listed were collect signatures for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., go to Pennsylvania to help Trump, and vote RFK Jr. for president. Palma began by identifying herself as a Kennedy campaign staff member who had previously canvassed for Trump in Pennsylvania ahead of 2016 and 2020. So they're trying to suggest that RFK Jr. is just attempting anyway to be the spoiled candidate. Do you think that's the case? I mean, I don't understand what RFK Jr. really has to gain in that scenario. I would think that he would be more of a Biden supporter perhaps than a Trump supporter, but I know the media has been running with this because they really want to see, which is amazing, they really want to see Robert F. Kennedy destroyed in this. Never did I think the media would turn on a Kennedy in this way. Now, we mentioned the fundraisers, and I don't know, it doesn't say here how he's doing fundraising-wise, but we know his vice presidential pick helped a lot because she's a billionaire, so that will help your campaign coffers, if you will. Oh, just as one last update on this. The Kennedy campaign sees obtaining ballot access in New York as among its most critical and challenging steps on the road to qualifying for the ballot in all 50 states and Washington. A Kennedy campaign spokesman told CNN the campaign has designated New York as a priority for ballot access, with organizers working in all 62 counties in the state. The campaign will need to gather 45,000 valid signatures in the 6-week window between April the 16th and May the 28th. What a weird window there. Okay, so we were mentioning campaigns and the $25 million fundraiser that the media was just gaga over. Now, Dean Obeidallah has to, instead of being gaga over a fundraiser for Trump like they were with Biden, he puts together the real price tag for Trump's billionaires banquet. This weekend, some 100 wealthy people were on the guest list for an exclusive fundraising event at the ritzy Palm Beach, Florida home of billionaire investor John Paulson. The soiree reportedly raised more than $50 million for former President Trump. Trump's well-heeled backers paid $250,000 per person for those serving on the host committee to $824,600 per person to serve as a chairman. Those contributing at the top level were allowed to be seated at Trump's table during dinner. In more normal times, there would be nothing particularly remarkable about that kind of high-priced fundraiser. Trump, however, is anything but a conventional Republican candidate. After all, he attempted a coup to remain in power despite losing the 2020 election, for which he now faces numerous felony charges. Trump's deep-pocketed and highly credentialed donors, including Paulson, doubtlessly are fully aware of his record, but nonetheless see fit to donate massive sums of money to a man who attempted to destroy the peaceful transfer of power that stands at the heart of our democracy. This, again, if you're just joining us, Dean Obadala. Not too subtle here in what his feelings on Trump are, I would say. Paulson and the other wealthy donors who attended Saturday night's events must surely be aware that Trump sat idly by, watching on television as the January 6th attacks unfolded, ignoring requests that he call off his supporters for more than 3 hours and even turning a deaf ear to his aides and one of his family members. They may also know that since leaving the White House, Trump has celebrated the January 6th attackers, even starting many of his campaign rallies by playing a recording sung by J6 Prison Choir. So what they're doing here, what Dean Obadala is attempting to do, is to scare these big money donors. Say, do you want us to connect you to Trump? Is this what you want? You see the threat to democracy? The effort to upend our democracy also involved violent groups like the right-wing extremist Proud Boys. Okay, none of that seems to have troubled these rich people, at least not enough to get them to forego making massive donations to Trump's presidential campaign. Their fundraiser came a little over a week after Democrats, including former President Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, held a star-studded fundraising event for incumbent President Joe Biden that raked in some $25 million. If they've been paying attention, the wealthy donors at Saturday night's fundraiser for Trump, and it goes through and names the people, kind of doxing them, if you will, might also be aware that in December, the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Trump had been engaged in an insurrection. And even though the U.S. Supreme Court ultimately determined that Trump could remain on the 2024 ballot in Colorado, it did not overrule the state's high court on the issue of Trump having taken part in an insurrection. So this piece is nothing but an attempt to scare donors away from Trump. I mean, they don't even hide it anymore. Trump's donors might have also heard. You see how he does that? That kind of that tactic, that narrative. Trump's donors might even have heard reports about the former president channeling Adolf Hitler by declaring that immigrants are poisoning the blood of our nation, his vows to be a dictator on the first day of his presidency, and his repeated praise of autocrats. Presumably, if they found any of this alarming, they would not have donated at least $250,000 per person to help Trump take back the White House. To put it bluntly, I don't put the sophisticated, ultra-wealthy people who attended this weekend's campaign fundraiser in the same category as average Americans who have been conned time and time again by Trump's repeated lies that the 2020 election was rigged. I suspect that this elite group of backers knows exactly what is going on with the former president. It seems more than plausible that Paulson had at least some second thoughts about Trump in 2024, and then it goes through that. Anyway, you get it. Oh, and then just to show you kind of the definition of a useful idiot in a way, or that term, that political term, he then goes to quote Liz Cheney. So if that tells you who Liz Cheney's friends are, give you a little idea. All right, we got to take a break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
My entire practice is focused and centered around St. James Hospital in Hornell. We see a lot of joint pain from hips, shoulders, and knees, whether you're a weekend warrior or even a 80 to 90-year-old who just wants to stay active and keep walking a couple blocks in their neighborhood. I want to spend the time to connect, to really hear you and understand why you've come to visit me to seek treatment. It drives me to be the best physician I can be so that you can go back and do the things that you want to do in life.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need. It's never been easier or more affordable than right now to get the bathroom of your dreams. We have the best monthly programs in the industry with payments as low as $99 per month or no payments, no interest for 18 months with approved credit. The hardest part of your new bathroom is gutting and building the tub and shower. If your bathing area is old, there could be damage behind the walls and possible mold and mildew, which can be a serious safety issue. At BCI, we don't cover a problem, we fix it. Call now to get a never clean glass treated door with a no-track system at half off for the first 50 callers. Factory trained, certified installers made in the USA and discounts for seniors and military. Call 800-704-1798. That's 800-704-1798.
These are officers from the police department.
I don't care who they are. I want you to leave.
Tuesday.
No, stop!
A missing woman. It's like the beginning of a horror movie. A secretive community.
We should be alert statewide.
A case only the MPU can solve.
We will find her.
We may forgive, but we do not forget.
It's a setup. Yeah.
I need you to come down nice and calm. Just let us go.
Tonight,
Sheldon and Missy face off in
Why can't we watch DuckTales? Because we don't learn anything.
Book Smarts versus Street Smarts.
Is it working? Are you feeling motivated? Very.
It's the battle of twins.
Life is so confusing. I always hoped it would be easier for me when I grew up. It's gonna be all right. You were faking. Bazinga.
Young Sheldon.
Weeknights at 6:30 on Big.
We are back with Frankly Speaking, our beautiful view of Market Street there in Corning as we broadcast live from the Hesselson's studio. A couple of comments here from viewers. January 6th and anything associated would never have happened if voter ID was part of the election process. Another comment. Bottom line, the ones who accuse Trump of false accusations are the same ones who have committed the same crimes repeatedly. Political agenda over the truth. And we see that very often in the media, the political agenda over the truth. Very often. So thank you for those comments. Keep them coming in. Boy, this show has went fast this morning, hasn't it? Netanyahu did declare there is a date for the Rafah invasion as Hamas claims no ability to free 40 hostages. This is kind of a pushback for, I don't know if you want to call it the threat by Biden last week. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu affirmed Monday that he plans to forge ahead with a long-anticipated and controversial military operation in the Gaza Strip of Rafah, as Hamas reportedly claimed there are fewer than 40 women, elderly, and ailing hostages who it can account for. In a video posted to X, Netanyahu, who has come under increasing domestic criticism over his handling of this 6-month war against the terror group, told Israelis that complete victory over the jihadists requires entry into Rafah and the elimination of the terrorist battalions there. It will happen. There is a date, he said. Meanwhile, truce talks involving Israel and Hamas officials in Cairo were ongoing after CIA Director Bill Burns proposed over the weekend that Hamas submit a list of 40 Israeli hostages who are alive and can be released on humanitarian grounds, meaning women, female Israeli or Israel Defense Force soldiers, men over 50, and those with serious medical conditions, in exchange for a 6-week ceasefire. On Monday, however, Israel's Channel 12 News reported that Hamas was trying to negotiate the release of fewer hostages on the grounds it had no ability to release 40 abductees who fit the initial request by Israeli negotiators. The lack of progress in talks raises new questions about exactly how many of those abducted by Hamas in its October 7th attack are still alive, which is troubling, isn't it? Terrorists captured approximately 240 people from 29 nations during and after the attack, which killed an estimated 1,200 people, including 33 Americans. As of late March, 129 October 7th hostages are still believed to be in Gaza. Of that number, at least 34 and as many as 50 are believed to have died in captivity. Wow. Now, there is a piece here, and I'm not the biggest, I'm not the biggest Hugh Hewitt fan, but he has a really good piece this morning. And he said, you have to have a victory. Former President Trump told me last week about Israel's war with Hamas, and it's taking a long time. Israel knows what they are doing. To listen to these people like President Biden and Secretary of State Blinken. What they've done is not only Afghanistan, but I actually happen to think Afghanistan was the lowest point in the history of our country. This is Trump again. I don't think there's ever been more embarrassing moments in the history of our country than what happened in Afghanistan, between losing $85 billion worth of equipment, 13 great soldiers who I know the families and the parents of every one of them, 13 unbelievable. And by the way, nobody talks about this. 38 soldiers who were decimated with the arms and the legs and the face. 38. Nobody mentions them. And leaving hundreds of people behind, we don't even know what number. But we have a lot of people that are probably going to turn out to be hostages at a certain moment. No, this was the worst, most embarrassing moment in history, Trump concluded. If that didn't happen, I don't believe that Russia would have gone into Ukraine. I even think it had an impact on October the 7th. I'm going to tell you more about what Hugh Hewitt had to say about this. That was just me kind of getting warmed up before we take this break. Oh, I do have a second here. Okay. Now, Hugh Hewitt saying, I believe Trump is correct on all three counts. And this full piece comes from Fox News if you're interested. Had he won in 2020, we would not have had the debacle in Afghanistan. Putin's second invasion of Ukraine, the first occurred while President Obama was in office. And Iran would indeed have been broke and a very different sort of menace. The sort that doesn't have the money to buy Hezbollah and Hamas their arsenal and train their terrorists. President Biden and his national security team have a terrible record, one that is indeed worse than President Jimmy Carter's. I put the failure on every front down to the fact Biden and his advisors are living in a fantasy land concerning the nature of China's, Russia, and Iran's regime. Our president and his senior advisors look and act as though America is weak, and thus they make wrong decision after wrong decision. The president himself is infirm, and the alliance of enemies against the West see what we do about our frail president. Yes, I mean, we've talked about this so often on the program. China wanting to be a world superpower. We've got the connection there with Russia, China, Iran. So this is all something that we've talked about in the past, just kind of put into one piece. President Biden, well, it says here, our enemies can only conclude that this American administration is frozen by fear. Part of it is the president's failing capacity. Part of it is the appeasement ideology exhumed from the 1930s and refitted to today's world. And part of it has to be that Team Biden is simply afraid of confrontation. Our country is paralyzed, and all of our allies, not only Israel, are in peril as a result. Biden often likes to talk like Winston Churchill, but always acts like Neville Chamberlain. Blinken, and we're not going to go through all that, but Trump isn't Churchill, but he's not afraid of President Xi, Putin, or Iran. The column is an appeal to those never Trump folks who are smart about the world and the voters who are serious and very smart about national security. People like Max Boot, Bill Kristol. The GOP needs you back. This is where he loses me. Bill Kristol, if you remember his time during the 2016 election, he could not have been more wrong about everything that he tweeted out or said on the news. Remember, he was going to be out before, meaning Trump was going to be out before Iowa. I mean, it was one embarrassment after another. But what Hugh Hewitt says, the trio of many other public intellectuals who were with President Biden when he invaded Afghanistan and then Iraq and then successfully doubled down with W on the surge, they know what happens when America is weak. To them, I say, please put down or aside your anger for former President Donald Trump and consider what President Biden, Secretary Blinken, and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan have wrought. The world is sliding into chaos under this team. The debacle in Afghanistan, the failure to deter Putin, the turn against Israel. Do you really think the West is better off today than it was pre-COVID? Do you think Biden or Trump is likelier to deter Xi from invading Taiwan? This is a question of recognizing and abandoning sunk costs. The best book on sunk costs is by the Washington Post. This is why Hugh Hewitt loses me sometimes. He goes down these rabbit holes. Anyway, the Constitution is very strong, but Biden et al. Are not. They are being overwhelmed by China, Russia, and Iran, and the proxies of all three. A presidential election is not just about the president, but about the 3,000 appointees he will bring with him. You'd prefer Blinken over, say, former Secretary of State Pompeo, Attorney General Garland, and Secretary of Defense Austin over, say, Attorney General or Secretary of Defense Tom Cotton? This isn't a hard choice, perhaps not even for those who absolutely hate Donald Trump. No one but the loudest on the left will assail you if you say out loud or in print, quote, I voted for Biden, but we cannot afford 4 more years of him, or, as is likely, sometime under President Harris. I am not sure the argument from national security will work, but it's worth a shot. So that was Hugh Hewitt. I just wanted to pass that along to you before we take our next break. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Our water's better tasting, it's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Hi, and welcome everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that we have agents standing by right now to answer your legal questions. So if you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, call now. Find out if you have a case and how much is potentially worth. I'm Gina Bellich here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin. So Tom, tell everyone watching at home who should call right now.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the studio. Now, as far as who should call in, the answer is anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault should give us a call right now. Agents are standing by to answer any questions you may have and tell you how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. So what kind of calls are we seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls about all types of accidents, but the most common has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, take that first step and give us a call. We'll answer your questions and you'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's get right back to it. Representative Richie Torres said Monday that Hamas feels emboldened by anti-Israel protests and the demonization of the Jewish state. It's a good point. The hyperbolic and hysterical demonization of Israel from fair weather friends makes Hamas feel emboldened to continue rejecting ceasefires and continue holding the hostage captive. Torres commented after reports revealed senior Hamas officials had turned down the latest bid for peacekeeping efforts. We reject the latest Israeli proposal that the Egyptian side informed us of. After Hamas officials, who were not identified, told the publication there is no change in the position of the occupation, Israel, and therefore there's nothing new in the Cairo talks. There is no progress yet. Torres' online barb comes as no surprise after the Bronx Democrat quit the Congressional Progressive Caucus over its stance on the Israel-Hamas war. The full House moved to censor Representative Rashida Tlaib, if you recall, a Progressive Caucus vice chair, in November for vitriol she spread about Israel, while another vice chair, Jayapal, called Israel a racist state and later apologized. Torres, meanwhile, has vocally supported the Jewish state in the wake of Hamas's October 7th surprise attack on Israel, which triggered the ongoing war. That is a very good point, that they do feel emboldened because they see so much anger at Israel, unfortunately, in the halls of Congress, from really Blinken. Not so much anger, but just going against Israel, Blinken and Biden and what they've been saying. So I think he raises a good point that Hamas is emboldened by the demonization of Israel after rejecting the latest ceasefire proposal. Okay, a couple other things to get to. How am I doing on time? We got one more break that I have to take. Feel free to weigh in right here at the end of the show. Special counsel Jack Smith urged the Supreme Court to reject Trump's immunity claim. Smith, in his 66-page filing to the High Court, argued that Trump's novel and sweeping immunity claim runs counter to the bedrock principle of our constitutional order, which is, quote, that no person is above the law, including the president. The president's constitutional duty to take care that the laws will be faithfully executed does not entail a general right to violate them. The framers never endorsed criminal immunity for a former president, and all presidents from the founding to the modern era have known that after leaving office, they face potential criminal liability for official acts. The closest historical analog analogy, I should say, is President Nixon's official conduct in Watergate and his acceptance of a pardon implied his and President Ford's recognition that a former president was subject to prosecution. Okay? And also, the appeals court judge did deny Trump's bid to delay next week's hush money trial. A state appeals court judge Monday denied Trump's bid for an emergency delay of his impending criminal trial in New York. Justice Lisbeth Gonzalez of the State Appellate Division issued the ruling after attorneys for the former president argued the trial needed to be halted because an impartial jury cannot be selected right now based on prejudicial pretrial publication. That has been rejected in a one-line ruling late Monday afternoon with no explanation. All right, so there's a couple quick updates. Now, we've got to take another short break. Stay with us. This is our last break of the show. Then we're going to wrap things up with a couple of different pieces. So stay right there. This is, Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's Hot Tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
Getting real video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
What does that man really mean to you?
It's the cleaning lady's most exciting season yet.
Oh my God. They took our man.
If you don't stay out of our way, you'll jeopardize everything.
And Tuesday,
He doesn't have time. I've got to find him.
the epic search comes to its shocking conclusion.
Our man? It's him. Oh my God. We gotta go after them. No!
Tonight. And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox as we wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. All 2 hours has been very enjoyable. Thank you for being a part of it. Joe Biden's secret flights of 33,000 migrants to New York passes the buck to city taxpayers, according to the New York Post. Mayor Eric Adams keeps blaming Texas Governor Greg Abbott as a culprit responsible for the city's migrant crisis. In the latest broadside, Adams dared Abbott to spend a night in a New York City migrant shelter, while the no thanks Abbott fired back that Adams' sanctuary city policies were aiding and abetting the border disaster. Some 37,000 of New York's estimated 150,000 migrants, or 25%, were bused from Texas. But there's another number comparable to that Adams should blame on another politician, Joe Biden. Get this new report from the Center for Immigration Studies. It finds that the Department of Homeland Security secretly has okayed the flights of some 33,000 illegal immigrants directly to the New York region from foreign airports. That's 22% of the city's migrant influx. One of Biden's flying immigrants was a Haitian man who was recently accused. Well, we're not going to go into all of the crimes. This is a major focus. But Biden is, of course, far more responsible than Abbott for New York's troubles, because he's doing nothing to enforce border laws in the first place, thus flooding Texas and other southern states with unsustainable numbers of illegal immigrants. Yeah, Adams gives Biden a total pass on the flights, which Biden could shut down with a phone call, preferring to continue pretending that the Republican Abbott is the cause of all of New York's problems. And I like, as a matter of fact, that what did Abbott say? Hey, if you're going to blame me for this, I might as well get some of the credit. He gave a great speech, well, at least the transcription that we read. DHS reports that it has approved the flights of more than 386,000 immigrants directly from foreign airports into the U.S. since launching the program without congressional authorization in January 2023. The flights were intended mainly for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, but since expanded to 5 other nationalities. Wow. You can find that whole piece, because we are out of time. You can find that whole piece for yourself. It's by Todd Bensman, and it's at the New York Post, taking a deeper dive. But DeSantis has a plausible theory, he wraps up, about the huge volume of flights landing in Florida, that some, perhaps significant percentage of those initially landed there are processed through U.S. Customs to domestic flights and continue onward to cities like New York. If what the governor believes is true, that means the number reaching Gotham is much higher than 33,000. How many is it really? Mayor Adams doesn't want you to know, or he doesn't want to know. If he did, he could put pressure on the administration to stop the flights, but he won't. He'll just keep trying to blame Republicans when the danger is coming from inside the House. We are out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us. I know that Eric Stabenow interview we played on Friday as well. Like I said, we wanted to make sure that we broadcast that, get all the publicity for the Glenn Miller Orchestra's new CD, new album, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, 80th anniversary of the Army Air Force Band, containing 15 classic tracks, including Sentimental Journey, featuring the Grand Ole Opry member Crystal Gayle. I like Crystal Gayle a lot. So that's sounds like an exciting album. Can't wait to hear it. It is out now. So if that interests you, if you watch the interview, you can go online and purchase that today. Well, we will be back tomorrow morning. Former Congressman Tom Reed will be our guest. He'll be joining us right around 7:10, 7:20. So make sure you tune in for that. Former Congressman Tom Reed. Later on in the week, I believe, I forgot my schedule this morning. I believe we have some members of San Giovanni Valderno coming to the studio, but that is not till the end of the week. But anyway, you'll have to tune in every weekday morning to get all the news. Today, we covered a lot. I will fully admit that. Perhaps maybe too many topics, but I'm glad that you were a part of it. I'm glad that you could join us for the broadcast, and that you'll join us now. If you're just, maybe you missed last week, you're getting ready for the eclipse. We are now 2 hours long. So if you want to wake up a little bit early at 6 to tune in, I would appreciate it. We run from 6 to 8 here on Frankly Speaking. So that does it for us this morning. Have a great day, and we will be back tomorrow morning starting at 6 for Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. Have a great day, everyone, and we will talk to you tomorrow morning bright and early. I look forward to it already.
Is it time for your next oil change? Are you too busy to do it yourself? Let the professionals at Quick Lube do it for you. With 2 locations better to serve you, Quick Lube makes it easy. Get your oil and filter changed and never leave the comfort of your vehicle. No appointment is needed. Just drive up and let Quick Lube do the rest. Keep your motor humming with Quick Lube on South Main Street in Elmira and Chemung Street in Horsehead.